Welcome. I am Crime Queen, and if you're joining us for the first time, it's the channel where we have fun with words and numbers, numerology to be precise. Alright, so I'm adjusting screen again. Okay, so basically I really just want to get on with completing a presentation I was doing on black, white, equation of entrapment. That's what it's called. Now, basically, I have been going over this, and I tend to have to do the intro because in case you have not watched these presentations, but it's really that it derived from my calculation on doing colors in numerology because I'm having fun. I'm about having fun. And so I was doing these colors and I thought, oh, well, these are three colors that have the same numerical value, which is 11, a master number. So of course I got excited about that. Now I also noticed that because I do this not just with these colors, but I also look at a word intrinsically. I look at a word and look at the structure that it has, the amount of letters it consists, the relationship of the letters, and how particularly the center letter, if it is an odd number, for instance 5, I will be looking at the middle letter. And this is how I know that in the word heart lies the A. Now that is something that gives me comfort in this presentation, because while I have been feeling that there is a game at play with the word black, I am feeling comforted in the sense of that A in the middle. But I say the but, in fact, I want to just add a full stop on that one. I do feel comforted that there is an A in the middle, and the A in the middle is in direct correlation with that which is in the heart. And it's also in earth, but not in the middle of earth, of course. Earth is R. Now, this is a wonderful thing that is happening here. Now, earth is R, which equals 9. Now we have this 9 here, just as though it were I in white, because I want to really give this a fair presentation. And perhaps again that it's that I feel it's not so much that these functions as black and white are anything wrong with them. It's how they have been used to manipulate, to cause division, contention, disagreement, and abuse of all kinds. That is my concern here. So it's not so much that they have that kind of thing, because here, for instance, in the middle of the word black has in it lack. Now I have been asking, well, lack of what? But it's not so difficult to even ask such a question, because black have been feeling in lack of so many things: lack of rights, lack of human rights, lack of voice, lack of opinion, lack of vote, the right to vote, lack of food, lack of nutrition, lack of education. There have been so many different things to feel lack of family togetherness, lack of that, it just goes on. Now what it is, and I am very mindful, because that's another reason why I had not taken on this subject, because I tend to think, well, like the law of attraction, you just look at the positive and work on the positive, and then things will tally in the end. They will tally. But Mother Eve is saying to me right now, yes, I am ready to tally, but you have work to do, you have things to do, you have house cleaning to do, you have nails as in the bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, if you have watched whatever I have been doing, as in the tea. We have to put things to a T, but that T is not like it has been used to corner people and nail them down and pin them down. No, this is another T. We are now ready to have tea parties in the Garden of Eden, because that's what we were given, and that's what is there. That's what, oh my, it's just coming even clearer. That's what is there. So we the British, we love our tea, and we've got tea whether we are sad, whether we are angry, whether we are happy, whatever is going on. Give us our tea, like our daily bread. It's the tea. But where is the tea found? Let me show you. This is beyond the fun now. The tea is right here. The T is here where the word black is, where it is B, and we have L here, and we have C here, and we have K here. Now we have these two BK here and the T, which is the nail, to pin one down, or pin nations down, or pin people down. And as I say, it's a function now, because I do understand the word black in the sense, like, of course it is used in all negative connotations, like if someone had a blackout, or if they fainted, or if there is no light. It's the absence of a light. We see that. But it doesn't mean that it is the absence of life. So we see that with Mother Eve in Genesis of chapter 1, where it is said, and the light came out of the dark. And even to say that it's the absence of light is it's really wrong in a sense, because the light came from the dark. And I think this is also said in the book of Isaiah as well, Ezekiel, one of the L's. So here we see what we are understanding in our 3D world as well, of course, because we have the sack. This derived from the sacrifice. It's a sacrifice template. And of course, it almost makes me want to ask, who has been doing this sacrifice? We were told it's the sacrifice of Christ. Really? Let's get real. Who is being sacrificed here? Here, in this sense, as I have showed, the B is bond. It's the breast, it's the buttocks, it's the lips, it's the mouth, it is the M&Ms, it is the module, it means module, it means make, it means made. So everything with the M word is in here. So even with these M's here, that this 13 has not got much association with, but it has got something like its kind on which to attach itself to. But really, this M here would be too close for comfort. So then we have, instead of having might, like MIHT or something to that effect, we would have the W, which means that the white hair, which of course this is how we bought into religion as well, or the scriptures, because they would show, of course, we have the road, we can show you how to get there, but we are not really told about, of course, how to move from here to there. You are told a story, but are you being shown the correct way? Are we being shown the correct way that you need to come out of the sack? But to come out of the sac, we are told, because even with water here as well, there's a W that is there to give us comfort. And that's the W, in fact, that we need to now hang on to take us, because we have an A here that we can associate with to help us go into that developmental stage, so we can follow this accordingly. But what have we been appointed with? Reverence, reverend, rev, R-E-V, of course, and every church or whatever it is, or pastors or whoever, to pastor the sheep. And then you hear, my sheep know my voice. So you are able to just keep going. Now I need to show you how people keep going, because my sheep know my voice. Of course, the voice is on the television advertisements. So you have B, L, A, C, K. What pattern is this? What pattern or sense can we make out of this? This is like a Z, and it takes you back. Now there is one comfort in that Z equals 8. Now 8 is set. That's another, I'm not even sure if it's a comfort in that sense, but 8 equals set. When we do the word set, S-E-T, it equals 2, 5, 1. So that is 8. Now Z, we can see here, is also 8. But we don't have the in fact, there is a Z here, or jagged, whatever we want to make of it. But by the time you get to the end of it, instead of taking you further this way, you are instructed to come back into this 2. That is the equation that I am talking about. It is the Z nothing equation of being stuck in a sack. And when one has not got the resources here, like we know through history, to produce, they are given sacks on their backs to make sure that they find enough to put in there somehow. There's the sack. Now that's Mother Eve. I am not denying that's Mother Eve here. But Mother Eve had proclaimed, or had pronounced rather, I have given you every fruit-bearing seed. This is what, now whoever was in this, or find themselves in this section, they are living in abundance. Just that they do not know it. It's like, who had these songs? In the abundance of waters, the fools are thirsty. So this is what is happening here. And of course, by the time one comes out of that BKT, and they run out, make a little step and think, oh, I'm lucky, I'm out of the pen now. LUC, because it requires a degree of rebirth as well. It requires it to get out of that, requires some kind of rebirth, in that you have to let go of the habits. You have to control your urge for food, because food and wine is what is being served here, because this is really coinciding directly with what Mother Eve said she's given us. But whether it was electronic devices, whether it was the sofa or the huge house, all of those things have been sold to us as a form of appetite, as a form of food. Even with me now doing presentations, that in itself has a degree of food with it, because the word, for instance, the word is everything. The said God, who is Mother Eve, because she is the fluid, she is the word, she is everything. And so every, like Eve, is in every. Her stamp is on everything. So they have used Eve, who has given us everything, to sell it, abuse it, and feed others with it. Now, this is a time, in fact, the other thing is that I must say, I feel that I have been, well, how would I put this? I am meant to do this. I am now doing what I feel I am meant to do. I remember when I was growing up, and you know, I was always told that I had a big mouth and my mouth was so wide. And of course, as I grew up, I come to understand that it had been given for a purpose. And so even with having gone through feeling that I didn't have a voice, now I understand the importance of having a voice. But we don't just want to have a voice, we want to have a solution. We want to have a remedy to that which is happening, because right now this is so crucial. We are so impregnated with devices that do not serve us. We don't even want to have a conversation on the phone like we normally do, because the voice has been so taken away in that way that we are not, for many, by the time you have been so bombarded with so many texts and so many clicking with the your fingers on the devices, you don't want to hear anyone anymore. That's including myself. And we don't have the patience and tolerance with each other as we ought to. We were told that love is what moves the world. That's the number 9. That's the number 9, because love is number 9. And love requires that patience. It requires understanding. It requires tolerance. It requires listening and talking and being with someone. It requires all those things to nurture that which is, because it does need nurturing. It does need that energy that has been sapped away from us. Now we are thinking that we just need to be commenting on how the dress looks or how the hairstyle looks, or always about the outside representation. So that is where we got ourselves our knickers in the twist, so to speak. So when I look at the Bible on the Genesis of chapter 1, it says in. It begins with the word in. It's as if it pivots what the whole thing is about in that very one word, which is I-N. Now, I equals beginning and N equals end. That means I is 9. There is an I is, this is I and 9. And 5, which is N here, 5 is N. Now, this is what we have in the beginning. We can see in these 2 letters, everything is being conveyed right there in these 2 letters. We are meant to be getting here. After Mother Eve has given us all of this, which her signature is in the word revelation, right here, we see EVE. There she begins, revelation begins to tell us where we need to be focusing on. It's like Mother Eve has given you all this, but you need to focus on R. The R is for reflection. You need to eat as much as you want, but the time will come you have to reflect. You have to reject. You have to readdress. These are the things you have to replenish. This is why this part here is not always in season, because we need to replenish hair. But to replenish hair, have had a lot of people, or people were being produced, we could say, as though they were items that they produce, or being planted, like you're planting corn, and so every season, so to ensure that you have enough to quench your appetite, you are planting every day to ensure that you have enough in abundance. And so people will, in the black society, our black culture, were being conditioned to have their little ones coming to birth new children, that they would take turns, so when the parents could not work anymore, that they were able to keep working in this area. Just to open our minds and our eyes. Now, that is not to say that this is not still happening. It is happening in both white and blue and pink and all areas right now. It is happening while we speak, because we are being programmed to get those programs, or whatever it is, the energies to feed or to satisfy the appetite of those who have felt that they have the way, because they have the way. They programmed it that way, so they know the route, that they don't even have to go as far as opening their third eye, because they don't feel that they need to. They know that they are 5, because 5, if we look, we have 5 on either hands, on either hand. So 5 toes, 5 fingers. So 5 has its left and its right, up and down. It has the polarities right there. So that means some will be activating their third eye and some won't. But whatever it is, here, that there is where people are doing the fox journey, the fox thing, the gypsy journey, and going to headquarter zone. Now, this headquarter zone, in some cases, of course, as I say, it's like when you get into this new state, the Reverend, of course, reveals your attention to go into this new state. And this new state, you've become converted and you accept Jesus Christ as your God and Savior. And of course, however it is taught now, is not that you will get to activate your pineal gland in most cases. You will be under what is practiced as the Holy Spirit. You faint, which I fainted many a times. You faint and you think, yes, I have met with God. And then you have to go for your next fix the next Sunday or the Saturday or whatever it is. And with the bit of oil, and then you are knocked out. And then you go through as well the ritual of the Holy Communion, which is, of course, what they have pinned and used to manipulate the mass, if you like. So with the wine, which tastes very delicious, because I had some as well, and the wine and the bread, and so you keep going back for that fix, which is done very ritualistic. It is so methodical, so ritualistic. People don't know about the symbols, about when the hand is a certain way. They don't know about the energy when Father says, and the Spirit of the Lord be with you. And he has a congregation of 1,000 people saying, and with you. That means his energy, 1,000 people have given him that energy, their energy, their energy. Now, I'm not here to knock anyone, because I think that everything has its place, its purpose, its time under the sun, so to speak. So, but I am just now saying what is really factual. Let us open our eyes to see what is happening. I have been in a crowd where, like when Nelson Mandela was released, and that's one for instance, you could feel the energy of all of the crowd. You could feel it. You know, it's that you can see what happens on a football match. You know, the spectators, they're the ones giving their energies to the sportsmen as well, even if they train very hard too. But because they are there as support system, they are providing energy. They are providing energy. So this is what it's about. Now there is no argument that this is about energy. So where people have been slaving to produce energy, it's like they've become the powerhouse, they become the battery. This is the T here, which coincides with for instance the Matrix, for instance. Are they taking the red pill or are they taking the blue pill? It's the battery where Morpheus or it's not, is it Morpheus, the name? Okay, but you get it if you have watched the movie, and he shows the battery. This is what people are being charged in this section. So likewise, where Christ had broke of the bread, or created the first miracle, for instance, and had fed 5,000, this is another thing we need to pay attention to, the parables of the story. 5,000 or 5 loaves, or 5, or wherever we see 5, we are talking about Mother Eve. It's a representation of Mother Eve. Christ's story was not about just a man came to die on a cross. It was about a son. In fact, Christ, I believe, was very much female. I think he was very much the second or third Eve. And of course, the story about how he died, or he, and that's another thing we need to pay attention to. The word he derives from the word she, or it also derives from the word her, or we could say it's the absence of her when she is not around, which is the 9 that births. So he is not the one who births, or he's not ready to birth. So that's what he is about. We have been using those words, and very simple words. The S symbolizes Mother Eve, the snake, the serpent. She's the one we told that the serpent was the wisest of all creatures. And then you go to Proverbs, and Proverbs, or whatever else is saying to you, seek wisdom, and when you find it, put it round your neck. And there was another man who found wisdom or jewels, and he dug a field, and all of those stories. And on the other hand, we don't want to follow the snake. Even though we saw that the serpents were with Pharaoh and Moses, one had swallowed the other, we still don't get it. We still don't want to follow the serpent. It was that bad. Why would God want to use the serpent to justify his actions? Do we think about those things? It is so evil. It is so bad. It is so cunning. Why is God using the same serpent to have his contest with or combat with Moses and Pharaoh? It does not add up. Does not add up. This is time for us to wake up. Wake up. Mother Eve says, wake up, wake up. Because if we don't wake up, this is where we feel the sting. This is where we will feel the sting, because she is ready to complete a cycle and begin a new cycle. And she is beckoning us to get ready for this cycle. Because as I say, she is the God of language. Now with language, you can solve anything. You can do anything, because it's the word. It's the word that was and is, which is number 6. And do we hear that we are that 6 is the number of men? And in fact, today I went through the scriptures and I realized we have not, again, I have said this before, we are not the first man or species of man. We are not that beginning that we think that was nothing or whatever. We are in fact, and I'm going to say this because I believe in how my information comes, we are at least a makeup of 5 or 6, in fact 6 species. Hence why we are said it is the number of man. We are whether it is a biological experiment or whatever it is, but we have got at least 6 species, because I got this, and you can get it from Genesis of chapter 1, Genesis chapter 2, where when Mother Eve said, let us make man in our own image and likeness. This is the let us make. But however, this is on number 8. It didn't get to this make man here, because the God that she let the contract to, because all these are 8 entries of contracts to other gods. They are contracts to other gods. And so from this let us make here, the 8th one, the 9th one, we could say, I'm just saying, for example, the one who created, he created man in his own image and likeness. So that's his. And then he created, that's own. And there we can see the word own. Because I've got to go over these presentations over and over to really get so much own. This is where the war began. This is own, this is one, and this is now. We can see from here, and I do want you to see from here, this is where the war broke. Because there was a battle here where one would have to own, and one war won. And the one who created, of course, he won the battle. He created man in his own image and likeness. He created he, him, male, female, and them, he, them. So that meant the he, him had 2 kind of beings or elements, whatever it is, the he, him, the male and the female, and then he done a he, them. We need to really pay attention to the history, because I can understand why we have got to that stage. Again, it's the rituals. the rituals had taken place, had taken our energy, had sapped our energies. But now we don't have that excuse anymore, because the time, like in the Genesis, when it says time, the days are going to be for signs and seasons and years. So there's that. So meaning time as we know it is going to go on, and then whatever needs to happen, whether in the planets, whether in the cosmos, it is happening. And we want to get on that ship, whatever it is that we are going, or that shift, because we have our role to play. It's like a ship is going round. It's amazing that this has become so clear, because I had the vision of like a trams. My vision was more a trams, and people are getting on and off, on and off, on and off, making that choice. But the ship, so we hear about, I've heard like other people have talked about, whenever we all are in a relationship, meaning like in Revelation, and Revelation, we are in a ship. So we are, whether you are in a relationship with your parents, everything is it's interaction, interrelated. There is no excuse about that. So when I look at this and I see the magnitude of what has happened, two being that harmonious, this is the thing as well, because in the black has that two there, which is always seeking to be humble. Hence it is the number of agreement. Two is, it's not argumentative. It even will agree to disagree. It is so humble. It gets together and it says, okay, if you want to fight, but we are in this fight together. You want to get married, we are getting married together. You want to sing, we will sing together. That's what two does. And of course, like we all have it in somewhere in our makeup, that the more we are nice and gentle, the more someone takes advantage of us. We know that. And that is what has happened here. Now, the solution, because to me that was my thing. I'm not wanting to talk about this if I can't see some air of some solution. I am highlighting this, but I want some solution. The other thing that, before I move on, that I have done here as well is that I've added these three letters in the middle here to show that because I like to do this, lack, which has 7. It equals 7, and 7 as well. When we do the numerical value for 7, it equals 2. Now we see how 2 is very much central in black. Black is really the foundation. Black is where we go to sleep. Black is where it's the rock. It's the rock that Christ said to Peter, upon you I will build my rock. Now, a rock in itself is not really telling you what to do with it. You see a rock, it is a mineral or whatever it is. It's not saying, although I can have that communication with a rock, because when I see a rock or a stone, because I have stones right here, and I feel they speak to me and it says, pick me up. I want to be caressed. I want to be loved. I want you to look at me. I want you to know me. And so I collect stones. And so because there's a communication going there. But if you're wired to do what we call to abuse or to do wrong or to do, these are words that I know, I'm just using these as to pivot our minds in the sense of contrast. So if you are wired a certain way to say, oh, well, this is a rock because my colleague had upset me yesterday, I'm going to use that and I'm going to throw it at them and really hurt them because I want them to feel what I felt. This is another thing, because we want to feel justified in our actions that way. So then this is what has happened here. So black is as a function. It's not saying to you, although it may in some way, but if you are not wired that way to hear that voice that it is trying to say, that it says, okay, right now I am lack. I want to be replenished. Instead of hitting my back, I want to be replenished. Instead of trying to force me to have little ones before the season, I want to be subdued. I just want to lie low. I just want to rest. And here, instead of hearing that, well, another one is writing hit. If the papers are going, the white papers going hit, hit. And then you have these forms asking you of your ethnic background. Is it black? Is it white? Is it? And we actually think that this is something so for us, not realizing each time you write the word black, all the subliminal messages that you have collected is condensed in a feeling that you don't understand why you feel the way you do. And then the person with the white, of course. I am thinking there is a sort of easier feeling. I'm not going to be shown about that. I'm thinking that there is an easier feeling because the hands are there, the subliminal messages for this 5 fingers and 5 toes and 5 things that can handle anything, that can hold a stone, that can point to where it wants to. I'm believing, and it's saying it's got this companionship right there, because when you look at the 2 ends, it's already formed a word. It's that we. Now we is really 10. But again, as everything else, it has its opposites. Now 10, it's saying we, it's giving us a chance. Perhaps it's always giving us a chance to come clear, so to speak. It's always presenting a chance to say, Mother Eve is here. She really wants you to pay attention. We in this together. And so like I was saying, here we have the I and the 9. When we add 1, which is they're both central. So meaning at the core of it all, they both are very pinnacle to creating harmony in the world. A on this hand, in this sense, is like presenting, because it has the 3 strokes, meaning it has the ability to create. It has the ability to vibrate. It is vibrations. It is the A that was Mother Eve, that when she said, let there be light, that would be the A that was vibrating. You can imagine like the water, because we hear about it in the oceans. There's a bubble or volcano. There is life underneath, so it will bubble until it rises. And so we can see of course, the American dollar tells us that. They have used it that way. Now this is where they have drained it. They have drained it here with the eye that it's meant to have to see. So hair, because an eye is an eye, it's not the most attractive eye, but nevertheless. So an eye, so as I have always done in the presentations, the word I equals 8 and the letter I equals 9. But they are really one and the same. So if you were to add 8 and 9 together, that would give you 17, which means 1 plus 7 is 8. It's still 8. If you eat something, it equals 8. If you ate in the past, it equals 8. And so this is why here we have this which represents the I, but the I with this hair, people are not letting go or letting it birth or that newness in the sense of purging, which has to happen. That's what Mother Eve is asking for. I'm looking at the time. These presentations, and like I say now, so we have yellow on the top. As I say, I have yellow hair. And this again, yellow, has been used as well. Because when one is hit on the back, they yell. And they yell and they go low. Low. So yell hair would be the 2 3s, which is vibration. But that vibration is only being used in that sense to get someone to hit another one on their back and say, shut up, get on with it. Because free is seeking to be free. Always free is seeking its freedom. And we have 5 here, the 5 in yell, because it's like calling for your mother. This 7 here, and it's when you are here, it's like you're yelling, Mom. And here, of course, you're calling, but you're being hit, and you have to stay low. And low, as we have it here, is 9 plus 5 is 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. So Mother Eve is still at that stage, that aspect of Mother Eve in the individual group or people is being